What's up, guys? It's OT Picks. I know most of you guys have never seen the face behind the count. That's me. I'm OT Picks. And I didn't feel like making a graphic. I didn't feel like going in depth. I haven't had a lot of time to research the picks this week. These are the picks off the top of my head in one video. First of all, Dricus Du Plessis against Kamaru Usman. Now, I do like to think that Usman has a great puncher's chance. I do like to think that he's maybe even more the technically skilled guy here. But the thing is, one, the knees are gone and he's very, very old. And then number two is Dricus has never been a guy who will go out sorry, right? Like, we've seen him basically sit and get held down by Chimaev 4 or 5 rounds, but even if that is Kamaru's game plan, I don't think he's going to be able to execute it the same. I think that's just a Chimaev thing. Like, Chimaev's able to do that. I think Marty will find success if he's able to hold Dricus against the clinch, right? If he's able to hold him against the fence the whole time and just clinch the whole time, I think that could work, but I think I'm just going to choose the younger guy, the faster guy. I think the awkward punching is going to get to him. Kamaru's a guy who really likes his, he likes sort of everything to be organized. He likes things to be proper. He likes things to be orderly. Dricus just isn't going to give you that fight, right? He's going to throw stuff. Kamaru's a guy who's going to thrive in a technical environment, and I don't know if this is that technical environment for him. I think this is going to be a way for Dricus to get his name back in the rankings. And if Usman wins, I'd actually be happy about that. I like both of them. You know, this is the lineal king of Africa belt here over here. But yeah, I would take DDP to win that. Not confident. Not insanely confident, but I think he'll get it done. Then we got Jared Cannonier against CLD. I'm going with my boy CLD. I like Jared Cannonier. I think he's very underrated at the middleweight division. I know people use him like he's often a feeder fight or like a test fight, right? This isn't going to be easy for CLD, right? CLD has that very bouncy sort of MVP style, right? He likes to dart in and out. He likes to throw crazy spinning elbows, but he's a heavier guy, right? He's not as light as MVP. He's a little heavier on his feet, but he's got serious power. And Jared Cannonier at plus 275, I think Jared Cannonier, like, isn't the worst. Like, he doesn't have, I don't think he's a plus 275. Maybe, like, plus 100 or something like that. Or it's not that close, but, yeah, I think CLD will get it done. I'd like to see him improve on his long-term cardio from the last fight. I think he doesn't explode as much later on into fights, but I think he'll have moments versus Jared Cannonier. I don't know if he'll be able to find what he's necessarily looking for. But Jared Cannonier, big middleweight, right? CLD, very, very elusive style at this weight class, and I think he's gonna be a star in the future for sure if he's not already a star now. Chase Hooper, all right. I haven't been high on the Gooner. If you actually are following my picks, and if you have been paying attention to my Instagram, I haven't been hot on this guy for a very long time, right? I had him to lose against Lance Gibson Jr. I've had him to lose multiple times. I almost never picked this guy, all right? And I think Chase is really talented on the ground. I like Chase Hooper. I think he's funny. But the thing is that when you have a guy who folds very easily under pressure and under hands, it's bad, right? It's not a good thing. Then again, that being said, I don't know how he's made it back onto the main card again. Good for him. I think he wins this fight. This is a feeder fight. They're going to get his name back out there. They're going to get him moving back again in the lightweight division. And as long as Mitch Ramirez doesn't show him too much pressure, I think he'll be able to, find success really whenever he wants in this fight. So I have to go the Chase Hooper side, even though I do think there's an upset potential for Mitch Ramirez. Now we have Tabitha Ricci against Fatima Klein. I've been very high on Tabitha Ricci before, especially if she's got physical advantages, right? I've also been very, very high on the Fatima Klein side of things, and I think this is just, this is locks, all right? If you're not picking Fatima Klein, you don't know ball, all right? You don't know ball. This is, I'm not even overthinking it. This is an absolute lock. I would happily put Fatima in there, DDP, something like that. I'll come up with a parlay by the end of this video. All right, wrapping up the main card, we have Tommy McMillan against Alberto Montes. And this is a fight that's kind of been on my mind a lot, right? Because I like what Alberto Montes has to offer. I've watched a lot of film on him, even back when it was just Muay Thai, right? I've seen this guy fight. Or sorry, not just Muay Thai. Pre-UFC, I've watched this guy fight. And he's got a crazy front choke package. That's basically it, right? If Tommy is a guy who wants to shoot in, then it's going to be bad. Just same with Ricky Tercios, right? When I had the Ricky Tercios read, we knew Ricky was going to shoot in. And when Ricky shot in, he's going to easily wrap up, boom, get to either Darce or Anaconda, or he's going straight to guillotine, because that's what he's going to be able to do. It's almost like BSD against Paddy, right? Once you get into that front headlock position, Paddy's nasty in the front headlock. So is Alberto Montes, right? He's going to sprawl, boom, Anaconda or Darce, roll over. It's beautiful to watch. And Montes has really good boxing, right? He's got tight hands, almost I know the Ilia Topuria comparisons are there. But by this much of an edge, I'm choosing Tommy McMillan. And why? It's because he's so big for the division. Like, this guy's a featherweight. He's 6 foot with a 74-inch reach, which is ridiculous. It's Sean O'Malley times 2 on both sides, right? Sean's a guy who's, 5'10", 72-inch reach? Add 2 to both of those, and you've got Tommy McMillan. Now, do I think he's the same style as Sean? Absolutely not. I think Sean's an outboxer. Sean's extremely creative. He wants to chain things together. He has a really good understanding of what's happening with foot positioning, circling out, when the void, right? He's got a great understanding of I hit you, you hit me. Tommy doesn't give a fuck about that. Or maybe it's just because he wanted to finish in the last fight, and he should have more power at his size and at his length with those hands. Or maybe his opponent was just durable, but Tommy just runs straight into the fire. And I'm hoping to see something different this time, because I don't think you'll be able to just run into the fire against Alberto Montes. Maybe you can. Maybe you can make him fold, right? That's not smart fighting, and I like to bet on smart fighters. Would I bet on Tommy McMillan? No, I wouldn't, personally. But if you are, minus 165 is great value, and if you think he's the truth, if you think he's going to fold Alberto Montes, that can happen. Huge history in wrestling. I don't think he's going to get submitted at all here. I think that front choke package is so good, it could get anybody, but the guys at Red Hawk have insane game planning, okay? Like, I don't think Tim Welch is going to be like, yeah, Tommy, just shoot a double right into the pot. Like, no, it's not happening. Tommy McMillan probably wins this. I'm going to say by decision. A lot of people are going to say finish. I know he's a quick starter, but I think it'll be a later finish than people expect, or it will be even a decision. Because Alberto Montes, even though he hasn't fought a super high level of competition, I do think he has all the things to make it a difficult fight for Tommy. Or Tommy's just the truth, and we see this. It's going to be a good benchmark. Tommy's going to run through the featherweight division like Sean. So Sean did bantamweight, so we'll see. All right, next we have Austin Bashi against Jose Miguel Delgado. I have a lot of friends who are really high on JMD, okay? I don't know if that's what we're calling it. I'm going to call him JMD. Jose has a really good blitz game. He's got crafty elbows, beautiful striking, right? It's everything you want to see from a guy who has that length. The only thing I would say is he doesn't always utilize his length to its max potential. And that sounds crazy because you're like 74-inch reach. This guy's like always using his length. He's always throwing straight punches. But the thing about him is he loves getting into brawls. And that can get him caught sometimes because his defense when he's exiting brawls is bad sometimes, all right? And I've seen it a bunch of times. I've seen it when I was doing film. We saw it against Andre Fili in the first round when he got clipped and dropped. And I knew that was going to happen. I was sitting next to my boys. I was like, yo, he if there's anything that can counter his blitzes, it's a check hook. He got check hooked. He had to lock in, played smarter for the rest of the fight, showed that he can actually fight a smart and technical fight, which I always thought he could. And through leg kicks, used his jab. That's what he needs to do against Austin Bashi, right? Bashi is a guy who's been watching MMA ever since he was, 3 years old, 4 years old, bro? This guy grew up in this space, right? He's got great chokes, okay? He's dangerous, and he's a shorter guy who's more compact, so it's almost sort of opposite styles. What we don't want to see is Jose just get into brutal exchanges, right? He's so dangerous in the clinch, but at the same time, the clinch is not really utilizing your length. Like, you're right up close to that guy, right? If Austin's able to take that to the ground, if he's able to reverse position to where now Jose has his back to the fence, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who have been really high on Jose, and there's people who have been really high on Austin as well. Like, the record speaks for itself. By, like, this much of a margin, I think Austin will win. But I think the amount of talent Jose has, all he has to do is work on those little gaps a little more, and he's going to be very, very difficult. He already is a difficult problem, right? He'll be even more of a difficult problem to get past. So my brain is telling me Jose, if he shows up really good, will win this fight. But from what we know about both of them now, I would be on the Austin side of things. All right, next we got the Korean Tyson versus my boy JPL. Here's what I'm going to say, all right? He has knockout power, obviously. He loves holding people down. He booked against Jacoby Smith, which is a pretty big deal in my opinion, because that shows the level of competition that I think he's at. There's a lot to like from his game. Obviously, the record reflects that. But I'm almost edging towards the JPL side. And why do I say that, right? Why do I say that? JPL has a very, very beautiful ground game. I think it's not underrated, but like this guy was born in a gi, okay? A little JPL popped out, and he didn't spawn in the hospital. He spawned in the BJJ dojo. He spawned on the mats, He probably learned an omoplata when he was like 1 year old. All right, like this guy is nasty on the mat, and if he wants to hold him down, I think he'll have to get through a lot of JPL's submission threats. And I think JPL is good enough on the ground to where like I don't know if he's necessarily going to be able to just hold him down on the feet. That's a different story. On the feet, um, it's difficult, but I think JPL's good enough to be able to hold himself wherever he wants on the feet as well. I think they're both great mixed martial artists, but I think there's a lot of value on the dog side here, right? Everybody's looking at Ko as like just the guy here, but I think JPL has a lot of value that people aren't really looking at. Short and sweet here, I am not on the side of the favorite. I think Felipe Franco is going to beat Levi Rodriguez Jr. And the reason I say that is because Levi Rodriguez Jr. was recently caught for steroids. All right, what does that mean? When he comes back, it's going to look like post-Uberim. Most likely. Let's say he looks super strong still. He's still knocking people out. Well, you're talking about a guy in Felipe Franco who took a guy who was already knocking people out in Mario Pinto, just running through the division, looking at the top of his, Mario Pinto is a guy who looks at the top of his division already at that age, and he probably will be. He's just running through it because he's super talented. So in my mind, if you have a guy like Felipe Franco who was able to come in short notice, take a round off a guy who's doing that good, who is a knockout artist, I don't think Levi Rodriguez Jr. is going to have a lot to offer him. Could he get absolutely demolished with that one shot? Like, yeah, it could happen. Obviously, that's the risks when you're fighting a guy like Levi Rodriguez Jr. But I'm going to choose who I think is the more technical fighter, who hasn't been in any sort of like steroid suspension issues or might come back looking different. We're not going to touch that side at all. If I had to choose, I would choose Felipe Franco Jr. I think he has there's a lot to like from him, and he's also fighting at his proper weight class now, right? Like that was on short notice, so imagine with a full fight camp, with proper training, proper nutrition, proper everything. I mean, like, I don't think it's as close as the line makes it look. Next, we got Ezra Elliott against Damian Anderson, and I saw this kid fight on Sean O'Malley's recent YouTube video. I didn't know he would be making his UFC debut this early. I don't think he did either. Obviously, it's on short notice. But if I have to pick a side here, I'm going with Ezra Elliott. Why? Damian Anderson, a guy who's really great on the ground. Looks like he seems to have, like, a mixed bag. He's good on the feet as well. But a guy from Tim Welch's gym who Sean O'Malley is high on, who looks like he has the skills when you see him fight, makes smart decisions, right? Has everything you want to see out of a striker. Absolute dog. I think he's going to style on Damian Anderson as the underdog. And if he doesn't, I'm willing to take that risk. We're going to let it go. We're going to see how he comes back from it, if he has another fight in the UFC after that, or whether he goes regional for a little bit longer. But do I like everything I see out of Damian Anderson? Well, I mean, first of all, Ezra's record is better, right? Ezra's the longer and taller guy, which I'm almost always going to pick in these shorter, lighter weight classes, because the length is just going to be such an advantage if you know how to use it right. 72-inch reach from that side, so he's got serious knockout power too, as well, right? Longer leg reach. I think, like, on the feet, like, he should style on him. Obviously, there's limited film on both sides, but he should style on him. I'm picking Ezra Elliott. I'm not even going to overthink it. Again, a lot of people who I'm not too familiar with on this card, I know a little bit about. I need to do more film. I should do more film on those guys. But if I had to just, throw aside, I'm picking Ezra Elliott. Next, we have Alden Correa against Stuart Nickel. Stuart Nickel's a bot. Alden Correa, there's a lot to like coming out of that 4-ounce fight club, right? They're dogs. They're all dogs. Everyone who comes out of that training camp with Joshua Van, they all look like they could take a nasty straight to the face, and they're just still coming towards you. They're still applying pressure. They got nice boxing. They're slick. Obviously, the head of the game is Joshua Van. No doubt about it, right? Joshua Van is the peak example of what 4-ounce fight club style looks like. Alden Correa, there's a lot to like from him, though. 5'8", he's going to have the longer reach in this matchup, especially at flyweight. 5'8" is pretty big, right? And we're talking about Stuart Nickel, right? I know Alden Correa's got 3 losses on his record. I'm not worried about it. He absolutely styled on Louis Goulet. Then Goulet went back-to-back on fights, looking like a prime Mike Tyson out of nowhere, looking like a prime Lomachenko pivoting, which just showed there's levels to this, right? Stuart Nickel, I don't think he's all that. I don't think anyone thinks he's all that. No hate to the boy. But I think Alden Correa is going to absolutely style on him. If he doesn't get a finish in this fight, it's not surprising, right? Like, he's a guy who's going to go to the decision a lot of the time, and he's a guy who, if anybody else in flyweight, right, they're not carrying a ton of pack behind their punch. But I do think he could finish Stuart Nickel later on the fight. If that damage is accumulating, you could expect late round 2, even a round 3 finish. That would be my prediction on this fight. You're just going to see so many significant strikes from Alden Correa. And even though he's such a big favorite, like, he's just not the guy who has the power in his hands to get him out early. You're going to see slick boxing. You're going to see, like, almost a flyweight Max Holloway type of performance from these guys at 4 Ounce Fight Club. Then you have RJ Harris against Alvin Haynes. I don't know. I think it's a coin toss. I didn't do a lot of research into this fight, but there's not, like, I don't know shit about RJ. Like, I have no clue, really. Like, I watched a couple of his fights film-wise. I don't know, guys. No clue. And then last fight of the night, or I guess first fight of the night, Anna Milesano versus Dione Barboza. Barboza wins this. The odds reflect it. Women's fights, I trust the odds a lot, and if you do a little bit of film behind it, there's a lot to like from her, and I think it'll play out exactly how people think it's going to play out. Listen, right, guys, she's going to probably do whatever she wants with her. Again, making her debut on the left side, so yeah, I'm not even going to overthink this fight. Guys, we're going Dione Barboza from Brazil, probably just going to sit on her.